Good morning, good afternoon, and good night, and welcome to the Shadow Afters official podcast on HBO's The Last of Us, where we seek the art beyond the clickers. I am Brandon Alvarado, one of your hosts, and of course, I am accompanied by the one and only Mike Thomas. Mike is an OG, man. It's just you and me.
Yeah, it's just the two of us. Unlike the intro that was changed on this episode, where only one person was left standing.
Oh,
Um,
stop it!
this
Stop
this this was
breaking
pain,
my.
Brandon. I'm not gonna lie. This was pain. I'm
Yes,
happy to be back,
yes,
but man,
yes.
it still hurts.
This was one of those episodes that just like we knew that this episode was going to be different than the first two that we got, right? Like we
Yeah,
knew that everything has changed after the event happened. Um and I I think I'm still processing this episode. Like I don't
mm,
even want to say that it was good or bad because it was just pure and ugly emotion. Not that I was bawling and just tearing up all, but like I felt everything in different degrees of intensity. Does that make sense?
yeah,
And it's interesting because you know that the overall feeling of grief is what's in the air in this episode in different ways, shapes, and forms throughout different characters in different ways, different versions, different interpretations of grief and anger and frustration. And then you have single moments that just make it that much painful. You know what I mean? It's a drop of dialogue, a shot, and it's like they knew how to nudge the pain that we were all feeling from
yeah.
last episode. And I find the dichotomy of how an audience loves a character is so powerful in the sense that we know that Joel did a lot of horrible things. Like we can't say that he didn't. You know what I mean?
Yes and no. I feel like both the show and the game have kind of struggled with that idea of like Joel has done a lot of bad things. It's like we haven't really seen it. Everything we've kind of seen him do was
No, no.
for
Well,
survival for the most part.
fair,
And
fair.
so,
I think the whole bad things is solidified with the ending of one. Like we hear all of the horrible things that he's done, right? But
yeah,
we never really see himself. But we don't really see that side of him till the end of the first part, right? Like when he saves Ellie, whether we agree with why he saved her or not, right? That's like the first time that we see him cross those lines in the viciousness that he does.
I don't think we've had this conversation specifically yet, but I still don't consider him saving Ellie to be a bad thing, I guess.
And that's and
Because
that's
it's like
fine. It
because it's
and
like
that's
they were
perfectly
gonna
fine.
kill this kid. And so it's like
Yes.
he saved a kid from being murdered essentially for the hopes of something good can come from this. And it's
Something
like
that good can happen for the right. They're gonna kill her for the chance
which
of
is
fixing something, which is
a,
horrible.
a small nitpick that I've always had with this story, as much as I love it, is we couldn't just like get some blood first and like run some tests a little bit. Like we just went straight
Well,
from we
I,
got to
I
get into her
think.
head.
Well, here's the thing though. That to be fair, I think that's the whole point. They did the tests. We just don't see them. And the
That's valid.
conclusion is this is really the only thing we have left to do. We have to do this biopsy to really find out if there's a chance to do something further.
Yeah,
But again,
like
it's like one of those things where it's only a chance, so you kind of get why Joel did what he did. But it is still something that's vicious and brutal. And
oh for sure. I'm not taking that away. It's just whenever the show is like Joel did bad things, I'm like, all of you guys have killed multiple people. I don't know why suddenly him killing Abby's dad is this worst thing in the world.
well, but see, and that's one of of the many dichotomies. It's like the powers of perspective.
Yeah,
because because you for one, not that you see it that way, but like people will see, oh, but he just killed that one doctor. No, he destroyed an entire army of people that were trying to fight for the future of mankind, right? Like it's and not only that, even Tommy kind of talks about the things that we did. Like we didn't have to do it this way. Like we didn't have to be as brutal, as violent, as murder-ish as we were. And it's just that he didn't know anything else, right? But what I mean by that, and going back to the idea of the dichotomy of the audience's perception of a character, is that on one end, we know this truth that this is someone that has been different things, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the pain that we feel has nothing to do with that and everything to do with that one young girl that loved him as a father, as a friend, as a partner. And all of this just gets blurred out because the emotion of this love was so powerful that all we get to do is grieve the life. Like we just feel the loss of this person. We don't care why what happened. We just grieve with Ellie. And that to me is the beauty of great storytelling. When you're able to love a character to a point that you accept who he is in all his facets and you kind of just feel for him, you know what I mean? And I love the fact that this episode was all about that. Um and I I have this question for you. As we continue the overview of the episode, seeing Ellie touring the house,
Yeah.
which is the first moment of vulnerability, apart from the fact that it was a great showing of the traumatic experience and the loss when she just wakes up screaming in the hospital. That to me was so earth-shattering, right? And also when she leaves the hospital, the subtle changes in her face. You know what I mean? Like this person is completely broken on the inside. And Bella Ramsey is just giving us a world class, right? Like a master class in portraying so much and so little.
Yeah. Bella's performance early on in this episode was one of the best that they've done the entire show. Like you were just saying, just the emotion in the face, like seeing it just drop as she walks out of the hospital is just chilling. This episode is called The Path, and it's like in that moment, Ellie is now set on the path. Whatever that path is yet to be seen, but we have an idea.
Yep.
And great moment.
And she arrives at the house, which is very iconic because it does happen like that in the game. That particular shot of her going to the house, the flowers on the fence, and that whole tour of the house. When she walks in, she sees her old room, and like the empty nest because she's the one that left the nest, right? And the box, the watch, the gun, the jacket, and when she just breaks, like, I wanted to ask you. So we've been on this nice 2-episode trend of Ellie the asshole, like, and have we moved past that?
Ellie being an asshole? She's always been an asshole.
No, but in the terms of the shock that you kind of mentioned on the previous episodes of how that's just her sole representation, in terms of her attitude, like, do you feel that this brings a lot more closure to the Ellie that we've always known to a degree?
Yes and no. I feel like this episode in particular does a good job of showcasing like Ellie's regret, right? We see her with Gale later on in the episode of like, the last time I talked to him, he was sitting on the porch. We didn't say anything. You kind of feel like she's lying. I feel like we're going to flash back to a conversation that they had there. But as it stands right now, the show is communicating Ellie the asshole is the last thing Joel ever saw. And that kind of sucks. But again, like I've always said with you guys, I'm willing to give the show grace for it to do its own thing. This is a different version of The Last of Us. I acknowledge that, but that also means I have to see where it takes us. And so until I see where it concludes, I can be a little nitpicky on how we get there, because it's like Dina the asshole is something I need to talk about for this episode, because she is doing way too much. Ellie this episode felt like Ellie from season 1, strangely enough. It's like, yeah, Ellie, she's mad and she's upset, but
yes,
they toned it back down a little bit.
Yeah, I do like something that there's two things that I picked up from the Last of Us podcast with Troy Baker, Neil Druckmann, and Craig Mazin on this edition. Is that one of the things that they mentioned that to me was very interesting, is that apart from the fact that scene between Gale and now we're going into the divergence, right? The divergence of things. It's that we didn't have Gale in the game.
No.
Gale has been Catherine O'Hara. What a brilliant addition to this show.
Yeah, I wanted your thoughts on this character, because she's been in every episode now.
Yes.
And so clearly she's very important. How are you feeling about Gale so far?
Oh, I love her in the episode. I love how detached she is from everything that's happening with everyone, to a sense. Like, she lives in her own alcohol-induced bubble. Like, and I love the fact that she is there to inform us that everything that we're seeing, that we're concerned about, we have reason to be concerned about. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. I love how she is kind of informing us. Like, she's like that commentary of, yes, Ellie is like, Joel did something. Like, we cannot dismiss the fact that he did something. Yes, Ellie is broken, and maybe she is beyond broken. Like, things that are going to inform and kind of like shed light to the things that we see these characters do, right? I find that very interesting. Apart from the fact that she's hilarious, and her performance has been just on point. Like, every time I see her is great. But this conversation, like, during the conversation, one of the things that I think one of the creators was mentioning is that when Ellie starts talking, by the way, Ellie is like, she is a kid of the system, so she knows how everything works. And she's not going to get stuck because of not knowing the system, right? And one of the things that she says is like, just some people regret because the last time you see a person might be the last. I regret that, right? But I love how the creators kind of mentioned that maybe she's saying that moment in the porch, but what if she remembers that her last moment was when she was next to his body? That was the last moment that she grabs onto, which is even worse because she was powerless to stop what happened to him. And that kind of maybe influences, in my mind, as I read that scene from that perspective, it makes me think that is definitely what's going to be driving her and pushing her beyond the limits that we think she was capable of. And I don't know. I like that angle of things, especially throughout the dialogue.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's 1000% the right take, right? If we're going off of the last time you see someone, the last time she saw him, he had a golf club jabbed in his neck, bleeding on the ground. It's like, that's just a terrifying image of your essentially her father, right? Just like murdered brutally in front of her, to the point where, going back to the beginning of the episode, she wakes up and her mind is still there. She is screaming her lungs out in horror and shock. And yeah, like, that messes the kid up. And I think this kind of goes back to Ellie the asshole, as we've just now dubbed this early version of the character. As somebody who knows the story, I think it's just particularly frustrating because it's like, why is the porch thing a mystery? Why are we holding that? What, like, because we're going to go back to it. I know we're going to go back to it. So, like, me complaining about it now, I know we're going to fill it in. But this, like, her last conversation with Joel, I don't think needs to be a secret.
Well,
without spoiling it, obviously. But
all I'm going to say, and of course, It's probably going to be 2 seasons before we
Yeah.
have the conversation.
Yeah.
But I think if the end goal for these characters is faithful to the game, which I believe it's going to be, because we're going to get to the same place. We may not get there the same way, but we're going to get to the
Different
same place.
route, but same final destination. Yeah.
Right, because if it's not, if we don't arrive at the same conclusion, it's not The Last of Us, right? And the key of that scene being where it is in the game, it's all about driving a particular point home. And it will lose the effectiveness of where it occurs if it happens too soon. And that, and again,
I
we
guess
can disagree.
because no, but I guess I'm just looking at it because we introduced the character Gale, right? And she is the one introducing us to this subplot of like Joel did something to Ellie. We don't know quite what it is because we have a vague idea, but the show has not explained what it is. Ellie
Which that will get a lot sooner. That will probably get this season.
Right.
Hopefully.
Ellie has an issue with Joel so much that they're not on speaking terms.
Right.
And it's like we're drawing all of this out, and I don't know. It just puts her character in a very strange spot to me, where it's like I know Ellie is justified in her feelings, but we are now almost halfway through the season. We don't know why she feels that way, and it's like,
yeah.
I guess again, me knowing the game, I'm like, it's not going to be that satisfying of a reveal. So I don't know why this is the play that they're going with.
And I wonder if, and maybe that's one of those things that because we know,
yeah,
it may, and that's kind of where we have to draw the line. Like maybe it won't be satisfying for us, but it might be just right for the viewers. Right, the people that are showing.
I don't know if that's why I'm questioning it because like I don't know if it's that interesting of a reveal if we're being honest. That's where I'm coming from, but it's like, it's fine, whatever.
I like the idea that Gale just lets her go after that conversation in the hospital, and you can clearly go that Gale goes, "I don't buy it." Like she doesn't say it, but you know that Gale's literally going, "I don't buy it," but.
Gale and Tommy's wife, I forget her name, but they're like the most honest characters in this entire franchise.
Maria is simple and blunt, and Gale is just.
She's like, it's in her nature. She's a lost cause, whatever. It's like, dang, girl.
Like she's not even. Yes. Now let's say with Gale, like even when Ellie. By the way, the whole council thing to me was brilliant. It was a great shot, great scene.
I love the scene. I question if we needed it, if Ellie's going to sneak out anyway.
Well, so here's a point that's very interesting.
Yeah.
And again, this is Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann talking about it. It's the fact that in the game, we only focus on the characters that perish that we care about. But in this world, other people die too. Other people suffered, and showing the aftermath of the Battle of Jackson, that moment of Tommy cleansing when he says say it goodbye, say hello to Sarah for me. That to me was like, it's destroyed me.
That broke me. I'm not gonna lie. I had to walk away for a minute.
But you have that moment, and then you have that zoom out shot where you see all the people that died. So everybody is feeling it. And I think that's the whole point of it. Like when the whole council thing is meant for you to see different sides of the people that suffered for Joel, right? But also to see that other people died too.
Sure.
But we're only doing this because Ellie wants to go after these people. And I think what makes this scene so interesting, apart from Seth's outburst, which was great, is the fact that Ellie is doing this not to ask permission, but to ask for help, but at the same time telling everybody that knows her, I'm going. I'm just letting you know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because sure. Dina knows that she's going. She hasn't said it yet, but Dina knows Ellie. And the funny thing is that Gale is the only other person that is listening to everything go, and you can kind of see her going like this person is just talking shit. You know what I mean?
Well, when Ellie starts giving her speech, the camera cuts to Maria for a second. She's just there like, okay, yeah, got it. Ellie's back to lying again, which is a good callback to what, episode 1? Yeah, episode 1, where she was able to instantly read Ellie was lying.
Yeah. And it goes back to Gale and Tommy in the baseball field. Well, by the way, Little Tykes baseball, that was a nice touch out of nowhere. But like things are back in Jackson Little Leagues. But Gale just sitting there with beers and literally telling Tommy like I know you think you can save her, it's your job to protect her or whatever, but she goes to the beat of her own drum. Like she's gonna do what she wants to do. And it's not something that's Joel's fault, it's nobody's fault. It's in her nature. When she goes, nurture can only do this much. There is so much power in that statement. And it takes me back to, so if you remember, I think it was last episode. One of the things that we discussed is the fact that this version of Ellie is a more violent version and a more violent, sensitive, not the word, more violence-oriented version of Ellie. That what we see in the game. Like the game,
slightly more bloodlust in her eyes. Yeah.
Yes. Like in the game, you see that pain makes her into that person. Here is like she's into it. There's something in here that reacts positively to violence. And I go back to that shot from the premiere of season 1 where Joel is physically beating the Fedra guard as they're escaping the Boston QZ, and you can see Ellie opening her eyes and like smiling at the beating that Joel is giving this person. And on the one side you can think of, oh, he's protecting me, so I'm happy, but at the same time it's like the violent act is stimulating her in a way. And it's, I don't know, it's just fascinating how all these little things connect to each other. And when she mentioned that nurture can only do this much, it made me think about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fair read. It also makes you think about other characters that we've been introduced to, but weren't in this episode. We're not going to spoil those though. But yeah, I do find like the whole going to the city council was well done. It makes total sense. I do just question it as a pacing thing because we all knew Ellie was going to go, and so it's like we're kind of just going through the motions here in this episode a little bit. Still a well done episode overall. I still had a great time watching it, but I'm also just like, she's not going to listen. She's going to go. We all knew this was going to happen when the episode started. Even if you haven't played the game, you knew Ellie was going to go, you know? Yeah. And I'm just like, I thought we were going to get a major twist from it since they introduced it, but it was kind of like, oh, no. It went as expected. Who do you think voted 8-3? Just who do you... Tommy, Jesse, and who would be the third, I guess?
I don't know. I don't think we know the council enough to know the answer to that. But I do like the fact that, so when Dina visits Ellie at the house.
Yeah.
By the way, can we talk about, I mean, this is going to sound horrible, but I'm just going to say how I'm thinking it. Okay? Boy. No filter.
Hold on. Before you talk, Brandon, his views and opinions do not reflect the opinion of the entire Beyond the Clickers cast. So just remember that. Okay, go.
Can we talk about Eugene becoming the scapegoat for storytellers? like every major info drop. Oh, Eugene told me once. Oh, remember Eugene? You know that guy that's dead, Eugene. Like Eugene gets the weed. Eugene was the Firefly. Eugene heard of the Washington Liberation Front. I find it hilarious that Eugene just keeps being the gift that keeps on giving. Hey, Eugene gave us Gale. Like it's like
This man is so important. I'm surprised we didn't see him last season. It's like, why is Eugene the president of Jackson? What is going on here?
I just found it. I
We're
found
gonna
it
have to get a
hilarious.
Eugene episode, right? There's gonna have
Yes.
to be a flashback episode with this man.
I mean, it's Joey Pants that's playing Eugene.
Fair.
I mean, we did get a great actor to play him, right? I know this steak isn't real, but you know what I mean? Like, but it's one of those things, like, I just find it kind of hilarious that Eugene has become like the one tool, like to be able to push the story forward. You know what I mean? Like, I
Yeah.
just find it interesting. But yeah, like when Dina comes over with the plan, I found that pretty good. But also I like that even though they cancel, like you said, you may have expected more. I was okay with. I like how it was still very tight storytelling.
Yeah.
Dina
Again,
knew
it
that
makes
Ellie
logical
wanted to
sense.
go. Yeah, not only that, but Dina knew that Ellie wanted to go. She knew that even though the council would say no, Ellie would still want to go. But at the same time, thanks to that council meeting, Dina was able to engage Seth in conversation, which at the end aided into their assistance in leaving Jackson. So I do like the fact that it all connected in that way. And the fact that that little moment kind of revealed to us that a lot of people feel like Ellie feels. You know, even though it's the minority, there's other people that feel like she feels, that we have to get payback. Because I think what a lot of times we lack when it comes to understanding other people and putting ourselves in their shoes is that yes, the attack on Jackson was a horde of infected, people that are sick or whatever, that attack and killed people. Joel was targeted and murdered. That is completely different. He wasn't a casualty of war. He was targeted and assassinated. And that just adds a different degree of weight, pain, and frustration that the deaths of Jackson don't necessarily bring with.
It's
You know what
also
I mean?
worth
Especially
noting.
buckled with grief. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just saying it's also worth noting, and the reason why I do appreciate this scene is that it does add to Ellie's motivation too, as well, because it's like they don't know why Joel was killed. Because by the time Abby does her monologue, Dina's knocked out. The only person
Yes.
who hears any of that is Joel. So
Right.
the idea of like these people can come back, they know where we are, they can take our resources, they can take over, blah blah blah. Like
It's a logical idea.
they could have just been the scout team. They took down Joel. They'll come back with greater force and take over. That's a cool twist that they're adding in here, and it just kind of adds to the agency. So I really did enjoy that aspect. But on the granular, it's like, yeah, well, Ellie's gonna go by herself. We always kind of knew that. It's just kind of like, the give and take of storytelling. It's like, well, we need to add this, and it's important, but also it does make you question something else over here. It's not a bad thing, but it's just something I noticed. We do have a comment.
He's just dropping bombs here, bro.
Love Joel, but Abby deserved every bit of that revenge. Yeah, but now we can say Ellie also deserves revenge. And when does it end? Like,
Yep.
that's kind of
And that's
the idea.
Yep. No, and it's funny you say that because I think that's the whole point in this type of story because I think it's important to go back to the fact that this is not the same story as part one. The themes, the focus of the story is not love. It's not. It's about the cycles of violence really are in the foundation of this story, and it's powerful to illustrate that just like Joel caused this anger to fester and grow in Abby, Abby has now passed that fire on to Ellie. And unless you put a stop to this cycle, it's just going to keep on going, right? And I find it fascinating, and I'm glad that the story is moving forward. I like that even after they leave Jackson, we still have like 25 minutes left of episode. Because I was afraid that the episode was going to end there. but I appreciate that even though it's 7 episodes, each episode has been tanked in content, like dense, but it also doesn't, and nothing feels rushed. I like the fact that we're spending quality time with these characters. Um, when we say goodbye to Joel, when we go to his grave, I like the fact that the Easter egg of the coffee comes back. Like for
Yeah.
those that play the game, um, know that Joel loves coffee. We never see him get coffee in the game, but we do see like Starbucks or equivalents to Starbucks, and Ellie and him have in-game conversations about coffee. And part one, season one, made it a point to talk about his love for coffee, and of course how Ellie found it utterly disgusting.
We have that scene, but also as a viewer, opening of the show, he's having breakfast with Tommy and Sarah, and it's Pedro Pascal sitting there with his big old cup of Joe, and
The
it's
old
like,
cup of Joe, bro.
I do find
It's
it
so funny you
interesting.
say that. And Jimmy, they interviewed him on Jimmy Kimmel, like Pedro Pascal,
Oh yeah,
and they showed him with this with the quad 6-shot espresso. Like
that order scares me. I'm concerned about that, man. If we're being completely honest,
I think this is how he keeps up with everything he's doing. He needs 6 shots of espresso.
How else can I make The Last of Us, Gladiator 2, and Fantastic Four First Steps at the same time?
And phone in his dialogue for the Mandalorian movie.
Yeah, that's a thing he does. I forgot about that. No,
Yeah,
but
Last of
I,
Grogu.
I do find it interesting how back at the house, Ellie is opening the box of Joel's things, and we see the watch, and that watch is so important to us, the viewer. She doesn't give a crap about that watch. She cares about the gun. And it's
Yep.
like, because the watch is Sarah's, the gun is Ellie's.
Yep.
And that just hurts even more because like those are basically his two daughters, and it's
Yep.
his last memory is he couldn't protect either of them because the last thing he sees is Ellie on the floor as well.
He might be thinking that. So
She's
it's funny
next.
that it's powerful that you say that, because when she starts screaming, "Get up!" you see him
Try to get up. Yeah.
trying. Like, they wanted to break us, Mike. Like, this is like,
Right. So he's clearly still conscious and he can still tell that Ellie's there and that the last thing he sees is her on the ground. So it's like that hurts. That
it hurts a lot.
Yeah, that hurts a lot. But I do think it again just shows the difference between Ellie and Sarah as well, where it's like she holds onto that gun.
Yeah.
Because of that violent nature. And like she views him as the person who did all that to protect her. Now she needs to go avenge him. And I think that just adds way more to this journey her and Dina are about to go on.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we talk about, I don't know, about Dina just playing with Ellie's emotions? Can we talk about this?
If any girl played with my emotions as much as Dina has been messing with Ellie, I would have snapped by now and be like, you know what? Take the horse, go back home. I'm going alone. I can't do this. I can't do this. We're in the tent sleeping. And then she's just like, how was the kiss though? It's like, girl, stop.
It's like this will they, won't they kind of thing. Like, and it's crazy because for those that don't know, before the thing happens, they've hooked up. Like, this is like, it's not a, like, they've been stretching this like
that. I think
for
that's
a
what
while
makes
now.
this so irritating because Dina is clearly just playing with Ellie's emotions. And it's like, what's the purpose of this? And I think they're going a very different direction with how we're approaching Dina's character. I think right now she's bi-curious and we're just evolving that aspect of her character, which is fine. I can live with that. But it's like Dina knows what she wants throughout the rest of the show.
Yep.
She is the person with every plan. She has all the intentions are lined up. And then she even says, I wasn't that high. It's like, okay, what does that mean? Are you going to follow up with that statement, Dina?
Yep.
So they've been just stretching this out a little too much for me, and I really feel bad for Ellie now because it's like, imagine the girl of your dreams just like keeps teasing you over and over and over, and you don't know what to do with that. She just hooked up with this other guy, you know. She just said, "Oh yeah, I was with Jesse." It's like, okay, uh, it's a lot. I hope next episode we clear this hurdle. The will they, won't they is hurt. Like in a 7-episode season, we're doing too much. If this was a 20-episode season, I could probably live with it. But it's like, guys, come on, wrap this up.
Let's we gotta fix this. Like let's again. I also kind of see the whole point of this is one of those things that if it ends if they arrive to what I hope they arrive in, even if it's not here. By the way, the preview, the fact that the theater looks
Ooh.
just like the theater.
I didn't watch the preview this week. Oh man.
Yeah, it's the theater looks like the theater. Like it's great. But I just hope that we do see that loop finally close. I think we need that.
It just, I don't know, because I can't get a good read on their relationship either because of it.
Mhm.
Because Dina seems to know everything Ellie is thinking. She's always 2 steps ahead of Ellie.
Yep.
And it's like, clearly they're very close for her to like be able to be in Ellie's head that much. And since they're that close, why are you toying with Ellie this much? So it's like, we have to pick one or the other. Is Dina dropping hints and Ellie's not picking them up? Or is Dina just being a jerk, messing with Ellie's feelings the entire time?
I think it's all of the above.
It's possible.
Yeah. But now a great thing occurs, which does not happen in the game. But I think it is a perfect moment to do it here. Is that we are introduced to the Seraphites.
Mm-hmm.
And I
New faction has
love.
entered the chat.
What was that?
I said a new faction has entered the chat.
Yep. And I gotta tell you, I love the fact that the way they're introduced is not like we meet them in the game.
Yeah.
Like we meet them in the middle of some type of ritualistic judgment. Like we see the dark side of the Seraphims, right? Here we see the values and what they stand for. This is a group of people that are religious. They all have scars on their faces. They have these tunics. They all look the same. No actual automatic weapons. Everything is rustic and like old school medieval style, right? They communicate through whistles. Which, by the way, the fact that they're doing the whistling and it takes me back to the gameplay. I think it was just chef's kiss. But they're running from war. They're running from violence. Like they just want to be left to like these are the people that are trying to survive and live and not be, in the middle of this. And of course, we have a father and a daughter as the head of the pack.
Yep, salt in that wound.
Yep. They just keep finding ways to torture us. And then of course they're attacked. And it ends with the question, are these demons, Dad? And he says, no, they're wolves. And the aftermath of this, which is also original to the show, like 80% of this episode was just original. Like the things that were really the same as the game were just sprinkled throughout. Like Ellie's journey through the house, that's in the game. The preparation for the exit is in the game. The fun that Ellie and Dina have throughout the journey to Seattle, you get that in the game too, which is great. Their introduction to Seattle reminds you of when they get to Seattle in the game. But I like the fact that the episode closes with not just the introduction to the Seraphites, but then the introduction of the capacity of violence of the enemies that Ellie is seeking to fight.
Yep. Brandon, it looks like you cut out for a little bit there, but I'll just keep on talking. It's interesting to see these new characters pop in. Oh, I think Brandon's back.
Sorry about that.
There you are.
But yeah, it ends with the introduction of these characters and the violence that they're capable of, and
Right.
of course, with the fact that they're not a 2, 3, or 4-man group like our buddy Eugene, the name dropper. Hashtag Eugene, the name dropper, suggested based on Dina's insight. But I don't know, man. What was your thought with the Seraphites and that last 15 minutes of show?
Yeah, I mean, I appreciated them sprinkling that in. That's a change that made total sense. Again, I'm fine with changes all the time if it fits narratively, and us and us walking this path and having Ellie's reaction be like, did Abby do this? Is this what her crew is doing? Just adds to the weight of, oh, these girls are in over their head because it's just the two of them. We were trying to get a 16-man squad. Look what they just did to all these people. They're even killing children. I just think that extra layer of context for Ellie just adds to a lot more of the drama. The Seraphites being introduced, though, just in general, I thought was a cool update. Also, Dina throwing up when she sees the bodies. If you know, you know. It's like, oh, they changed that, but okay, I buy it. Nice, good job.
They changed it.
I don't think enough people are going to catch on to what that means, but
well, I think the only people that are going to catch to that are the people that know.
Yeah, I'm saying. I guess my thing is in the game, it's like, oh, Dina's very soft to be throwing up at like a dead horse. But here's like, oh yeah, I get why she would hurl seeing like 16 dead bodies.
And then the zoom in to the kid. It's just so bad.
Yeah, that was again cruel. They didn't have to do that to us.
Yeah. Now to your comment of Ellie going, did Abby do this? Also at the same, it has a dual power. It has there's a dual effect. It has the effect that you clearly stated, which is 100% accurate, I think. But it also has the effect of Ellie is consistently looking for things to justify her path. I
mean, she was in the council saying this isn't about revenge. It's like, it kind of is, but
it is. She was bullshitting everybody except Gale. She wasn't like the whole point of that essay or whatever she says in front of all these people, like she is genuinely requesting the help, but in her heart, her hidden resolve, she's like, if you guys don't help me, F you guys, I'm still gonna do the thing. Like, I just want to know if you want to go with me. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what she's doing. But at the same time, she knows that most people, if not everybody, are not willing to go as far as she may be willing to go. So she's looking for justification for what she's going to do. Like, she's looking for ways to make herself feel comfortable. You know what I mean? Like in a way, like the way she said, if they did this, like they deserve what's coming. Like, I'm similar to Abby being the consequence to Joel or whatever. Like, she is playing this narrative in her head, and I kind of want to see how else the show kind of keeps exploring that as it moves forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's this episode was great. It was great.
It was great, but what stayed? What survived the adaptation? We haven't talked about that yet.
I kind of sprinkled it throughout, but yeah, like it was only like really three things. It was the Ellie's venture through the house, that's in the game. The preparation for the exit, Ellie's journey with Dina, and just arriving to Seattle. Like as they arrive to Seattle and you see the cars and you kind of see the sign, that's kind of almost to a T how it happens in the game. But almost everything on this episode was fresh and new. It was a different take to it. I think also the conversation that they have with Tommy was in the game as well. But of course, it wasn't a council. Um, but yeah, man, I think we've done the thing. I'm excited for episode. I'm glad that we're in Seattle already. I
Hmm.
think that so far, my my thoughts of how this season was going to play out. So far, everything has played out the way I foresaw it. Like
Pat
I
on the
knew,
back, self brag.
hey man, I gotta say it. No, but I'm happy about it because if, of course, the next 4 episodes can prove me completely wrong, but I kind of hope they don't because I I I I kind of like the idea of it ending with an Abby cliffhanger as opposed to starting the next chapter of the story um this season. I kind of want to bring what we've been going through, like this Ellie centric narrative. I feel comfortable this season wrapping that up. Does that make sense? Like I feel that's where it needs to go. That's the logical conclusion. But then again, they can do whatever the fuck they want as long as they do it right. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
This
I mean, because it's a 7 episode season, but we are kind of at like that mid season ish
Yep.
point.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm with you so far. Like I've enjoyed this season. I've had minor gripes here and there, but overall, I've been entertained every single episode.
Yep.
So I'm excited to see where they take things.
Yep.
We're gonna get a lot of Ellie and Dina next episode, I think, which will be interesting.
Yep.
I do want to see where some of these other characters go. Because again, we mentioned this before, but how they've handled Tommy in this adaptation has been different than how he was in the game. What choices does he make? What storyline do they give him? If it's the same, how much is it different? Because he has a lot more on the line now than he did in the video game. And
Yep.
so if he makes the same kind of irrational decisions that he made in the game, they would have much greater consequence. And I wonder if they will play with that at all. Because he has that conversation with Ellie in this episode, and we don't really see him anymore after that. And I'm just interested to see what we do with him because he's on a different path now. And he's very important to this story.
I have a feeling that I don't think it's a different path. I just feel that the angle that justifies the path.
What I
um
mean by path, before you finish your point, is he's got a kid, he's got a wife, and that just drastically changes the thought process as well.
Agreed.
that they would probably give him. That's what I mean.
No,
But
I
yeah,
totally agree. I totally agree. Which is why what I was gonna say is that I think one of the angles that may be pushing him into the path that we expect,
yeah,
it lies in what Gale tells him. The idea that Gale kind of recognizes that Tommy feels that he's inherited Ellie.
yeah,
And the fact that he wasn't able to save his brother because he chose his family and his town. Like because he chose all these other people, he wasn't able to influence the result of what happened to Joel. So the way that he's going to process the grief, the anger, the disappointment on himself, or whatever he's feeling, because they haven't really articulated any of it in
yeah,
reality. We haven't even seen how he's really managing the death of Joel. Um, and and we know that he's not Joel. Like we know that he's not that vengeful person, or at least not as violent oriented as Joel was in terms of retaliation in the way that he can be. We know he's a trained soldier. We know that he's able to be that way if it needs to be, but it's not by choice, right? Like
yeah.
he's mostly that type of warrior by need. But I like that comment. I think there's a lot of weight there, and I wonder if that is what's gonna press him to not stay in Jackson.
It
You
makes
know,
sense.
so
That's what I mean by it's a
yeah,
different angle.
It is.
It still leads to like we were saying before. It's a different route, but we're going to get to the same final destination.
Yep.
But that is very different than what it was in the video
well,
game.
if I'm not mistaken, the conversation that Dina and Ellie have in the kitchen is actually Tommy and Ellie having the conversation. Like Dina was just
because remember Tommy was the one who was there, not Dina.
Correct.
So
right.
Yeah.
So I like these are the kind of creative liberties that I enjoy because they're founded within the reality of the world. Like they're not coming out of nowhere. That's one of the reasons why I totally love the whole horde in the Battle of Jackson, because there was so much groundwork for that to occur the way that it did. And I don't know, I'm just satisfied. I do on the preview, bro. The previews are crazy, bro. Like they're doing it appears they're doing the whole Dina and Ellie run from the horde in Seattle. Like they're doing that whole set piece. So it's I don't know, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. Like in the preview, you kind of see Dina doing her. By the way, I just thought about this and I'm like geeking out right now. So you know what she does as she enters the supermarket, right? The whole like
Yeah.
That's the listening ability in the game, bro. She's pressing R2.
Oh my goodness.
Yes, that's what she's doing. Like, yes. Like, I didn't think about it before.
That's so nerdy, man. How did you even catch that?
No, and I just thought about this. Like, that's so, because in the game you have that thing. Like, those that haven't played the game, in the game, one of the ways that you get situational awareness is that you're able to develop your hearing. So when you crouch or go against a wall and you press, I think it's R3, it's like you can kind of hear everything around you and you can kind of locate what's around you. And when you go to Dina, that's what Dina's doing. She's actively listening carefully and she's able to detect the different type of clicks. So she knows that there's two clickers in the supermarket. But then in the preview, you see her going like this, but her fingers keep going up and going up and going up. And that's why I went like, holy crap, that she's doing the thing.
That's amazing. Though that's the attention to detail.
Yeah.
That I appreciate so much. It's so great.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
I missed the preview for some reason for this week. I don't know why. I watch all of them. I don't know why I missed this week, but it sounds like I need to go check it out before we get into episode 4.
You need to do the thing. Now this comment here, G-Techie, I'm gonna be honest with you. He writes on the chat. He writes, "Does anyone remember why the WLFs and the Scars are at war? I can't remember from the game." I don't think the game goes out of their way to explain it.
Yeah.
I do know. Well, actually, let me not open my mouth because I don't want to spoil anything. But I think that the whole point of that war, or that's what's the word I'm looking for?
Conflict.
Yes, the whole point of that conflict is that we have two opposing teams that do not take the time to understand each other. That's really like the whole point of that conflict thing to a degree. Like instead of just finding ways to just understand each other and coexist, they just, like most wars in history, they just decide to eliminate each other. And it's mostly the wolves, really, because most of the Seraphites actually want a peace.
Yeah, it's just, again, reflecting the human condition, right? Like, even though we all suffered this world-ending disaster, there's still bigotry, there's still prejudice, there's still all these other things that exist in this world. So I really think that's all it is, just commentary of like, yeah, even though there's all these infected, they will still go to war with each other because humans are inherently evil. That's the theme of this story so far. And that's what Gail was trying to tell us. She's just like, it's in their nature.
Hey, nurture can only do this much. Got Mike, I think we've done the thing, man.
We did the thing. Yeah, this was a fun episode.
Yeah.
Great talking to you. I love going through all of the nerdy details. Learning that Dina was pressing R1 has to be the highlight for me. I do. I know we both enjoyed this episode. I do just wonder, just from a pacing aspect, how you felt about it, because we clearly take a couple month time jump. I think like 3 months have passed,
Yes.
which is
Like we literally hit the brakes on everything on this episode.
yeah, and that's such an interesting choice to me because
Yeah.
after the death of the main character of your show, you would, and the story being Ellie wants revenge, you think we would just be like, okay, she was in the hospital for a week, we're going back out there, and like you hit the gas, you hit the ground running. But instead they did the inverse. It's like, we're gonna be slow, we're gonna take it slow, we're gonna let things breathe, and then we're gonna build back up to it. I don't hate the choice. I'm not saying here that I'm complaining about it, but I just find that interesting. Because you don't see stories do that like ever.
And I think I appreciate the fact that they did that, because it's like, I wonder if the choice is them going like, this is what the story needs. You know what I mean? And also because it's not just the loss of Joel. It's about introducing the new standard. We're
Yeah.
following Ellie and Dina. They are our new duo. Moving forward, this is now their story, right? Ellie's still the primary character, but we're now following them, and it's them against the world, and that is a huge paradigm shift, which is why I think we spend so much time with them, and everything and if you think about it, every major moment that occurs in this episode, without apart from the ones that they're not in, it's literally them grappling with the reality and with the process of achieving the goal they want to achieve. Apart from the fact that Ellie doesn't make plans and Dina does all of them, like I like the fact that it was all about setting that new standard, that new status quo, um, and not forcing it upon the viewer, but making it as organic as possible. I think it's one of the best achievements that this episode accomplishes.
Yeah.
But I do agree. It is a startling halt. But I think that because of the halt, we were able to appreciate the introduction of the Seraphites, and we were able to actually enjoy the small moments. Because even as an audience, we needed that reprieve
Yeah.
after
You're
what
right.
happened. Because yeah,
It's very much just the new status quo. Yeah.
yeah,
Like even from the intro changing and taking
that
Pedro's name out of the credit. Oh man.
ah, bro, and it's crazy because it's funny you say that, because in HBO is known for awesome intros,
Mhm.
especially for their shows. Like Game of Thrones, House of Dragon won multiple awards for their intro, because as the seasons developed, they would add stuff to the map, right? So for season 2, I kind of wondered what they were going to do, and they really didn't change much apart from the intro's a lot shorter and a bit more faster paced, especially because of all the actors that they're introducing, right? Because the
Mhm.
cast is substantially bigger. Um, but when this episode was going to come in, I wonder, are they going to pay attention to that final shot? And when they did, I was like, no.
It's so effective because
Yep.
it's so obviously barren, right? Like I just assume like, oh, they're gonna change the intro and they're like, instead of Pedro Pascal's name, it's gonna be Isabella Merced, or it's gonna be Caitlin Deaver's name in its place, right? It used to say Pedro Pascal, Bella Ramsey, but now it's just giant void of space, Bella Ramsey. And it's like they make you feel that there's someone missing. And I'm like, that is just it's such a minor detail, but like I'm the nerd that's like, oh, that hurt, man. That hurt. You're muted, Brandon.
Not only that, at the very end, where you just see the one stem
Yeah.
as opposed to the two stems. And even that, like, I'm gonna take it further, Mike. Before we head out, I'm gonna go further. Tommy doesn't take off the cloth of his face. So we don't even get to see his face again. Like, he was probably filming Fantastic Four. But
he definitely was. My favorite bit from this last week is just how the cast has just been like therapy for everybody. Like Pedro Pascal's just like, oh, I love Caitlin Dever so much. She's just a joy to work with. And they're just like hugging in every photo possible to try and just like, guys, it's okay. It's just a show. He's not really dead. Don't worry. And then at one point, Bella Ramsey's like, the rest of the season's gonna get dark. And Pedro's just like, I'm glad I don't have to be there to see it. It just sarcastically says that. And I'm like, that made me feel a little bit better. I'm glad Pedro Pascal's okay.
Remember, nurture can only do this much.
But yeah, so, we did the thing, man.
Where can people find you, Mike? Talk to me.
Yeah, you guys can find me at Novice Cinephile on everything: TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, The Novice Cinephile on Instagram and Threads. We're going to be here on the Chatter After YouTube channel. We have another episode of Insider Chatter. We're going to be talking about all the movie news. We're also going to be talking about the Thunderbolts on the Chatter After. So if you guys want to see what's going on with the next Marvel installment, check that out and be back here next week for another episode of Beyond the Clickers.
And you can find me here and Beyond the Clickers because just like Pedro Pascal, I'm not really anywhere. But you can find me here on the Beyond the Clickers. You can find me at the Amateur Talker from time to time, talking anime over there. We just did a first look at Moonrise, Netflix's forgotten but decent anime. But I can't wait to see you guys next week. As you guys know, The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 4 will premiere at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Sunday, and we will be here the next day. Every Monday night, we will be sharing our thoughts and digging deeper into The Last of Us Season 2. I am so very excited to keep talking with you guys. Keep putting the things in, keep putting comments in, keep watching. Thank you for your support to the channel. If you love what we do here on the Chatter After, make sure you subscribe. Click on that bell icon for notifications and click that like button, share with friends so people can join us as we seek the art beyond the clickers and continue the shatter. You guys are awesome. Stay awesome. And as always, endure
and survive.
See you later, guys. Peace.
Peace.